Alright, what is new with the journal? Worried about her friend's behavior, Rebecca informed Ashton about Isabella's disappearance. It turned out that she spent the night at Zachary's, oh my. And Ashton offered to pick her up. Rebecca went to school after and had a strange encounter in the hall with one of the student lockers. Oh gods, I'm gonna sneeze. Apologies ahead of time. Sometimes there's a warning, sometimes there is not. Alright. I think it's gone. While lining up to buy dinner, Rebecca saw Kylie Suarez with a suspicious man. Assuming it was a kidnapping, Rebecca elected to take the matters into her own hands, only to find out that the man was the girl's godfather, Luke Wright. An embarrassed Rebecca apologized afterwards. Rebecca found Isabella going through several papers outside their apartment. When the former asked why she didn't come home that other night, the latter confessed that she saw the ghost once again. Before leaving, Isabella assured her friend that she'd find a way out of this mess. Thus, I'm hoping that is confirmation that Isabella survived the incident at the office. That I did not miss that button press to save her. Alright. I ignore all of it in the same way I've assumed I won't ever encounter that douche again. ... October 27th, Thursday. The brief lull the past 2 days is nice while it lasted. That was kind of weird. Or as nice as it can get with worries of Isabella's whereabouts creeping up to me every now and then. She hasn't showed up after that last talk we had in the hallway, and the dinner I've bought had since been given to a different neighbor before it's spoiled. Gods, I got it. Another cat in the lap who's chewing on wires. Thank you. By all means, this shouldn't be anything to lose sleep over. She's gone on work trips before, usually for a day or two. This might simply be one of those. Although it's often with a message saying exactly where. But it's the dour note she has ended our last chat with that gnaws. Perhaps she has decided to go into the mansion and take things into her own hands and kill everyone. I doubt it, but...
Like an ugly premonition.
Yes, I think the final chapter is going to be a showdown at the mansion. Some of the screenshots for the game kind of spoil that. And as expected, just as things start to settle and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back to my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters of hormonal teenagers. With little ceremony, though still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Luxbourne is a small city, relatively speaking. Compared to, say, London, or Cambridge, or Glasgow, it's nothing but a tiny mass of land boasting a mere population of 68,000. A mere population of 68! That is practically small town right there. Probably. But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing in a busy street or very busy checkout aisle. And if you pay close enough attention, faces taking the crosswalk or riding the subway will soon grow familiar. How unfortunate that out of that number it has to be Tio effing Luke I encounter more than once. He is here at this school. Probably.
Oh, you know, a few problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow.
They're gonna bang in like the janitor's closet, aren't they? They're gonna just hate bang it out.
Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course.
Gods, who doesn't this guy sleep with out of the main characters?
I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble, but darling wife insisted.
Not Isabella, because he hasn't shown any interest in her. And not Marianne, because we didn't select that option, thankfully.
Who am I to say no?
Ah, are you kidding me?
His smug head is the first thing I see upon turning into the hallway, in spite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered at the corridor for the primary's career day. It's not that he stands out, he's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. However, it's his countenance that draws people's eyes to him. The manner he carries himself with all the confidence in the world, his mere presence dwarfing everything around him because he's got that FU money. I'm willing to make a bet he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones coming from the women.
What an ass.
I mean, you know, look but don't touch, right? A single glance at him and I know immediately that, one way or another, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. What was his nickname for her? Daisy? He also exudes that air of sexuality. The sort that makes you want to run him over with a lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident, and then lock him in the trunk. With him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's no in-between. I'll gladly do the honor of the former myself, but alas, there are people around us. Potential witnesses whose bodies I'll have to hide. Now, I'm stuck with having to face one of the two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
At the time, helping out sounded a good idea. I've no classes left today until after lunch. I could have opted to stay at the teacher's lounge and work on my lesson plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head and his chatter. Is this girl just like... She's got one of those foxtails, like, stuck to the back of her skirt, doesn't she? The one leaning against the locker with the white hair. The faceless one. Oh my god, they're all faceless! It's a faceless school, and they don't have fingers. They just have... Oh my god, it's a school for the faceless and fingerless. He's a good man, but Crivens, he can talk anyone's ears off. I gotta look that up now. What is Crivens? Can't even look it up. To hold the phone as far away from the computer microphone as I can. Okay, Crivens. An exclamation of surprise. I don't know how to, Let's go with the Scots one. From earlier, Criffins, a euphemistic alteration of Christ fend us? Or... yeah, Christ fend us, what the hell? Tested from the late 19th century. It's an interjection. Thank you, Marshmallow, for interjecting yourself. An exclamation of surprise. Crivens, his Bob's last past help and new. Okay, thank you, Wiktionary. The slang of the English and the Scottish is very interesting. So, the moment an opportunity rose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boot. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the event, maybe stay around to assist if time will allow it. I just wasn't expecting him to show up here. Out of the frying pan and into the fire, so to speak. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through our deputy's impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead, about his wife wanting to sleep with other men while he watches from the closet. But what's done is done. Going back is also out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy the load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for a trip back just because my pride can't take another second of interaction with that guy. He's insufferable, alright, but I've had my fair share of dealings with teens, more or less the same temperament, all considerably younger than him, and they listened. If he wants to be difficult like last time, so be it, but he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not gonna stand down. Interesting that Ass instead of arse was used that time. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in a breath, mustering every bit of patience I have as I step into the hall. My grip on the box tightens when I pull it closer to me, an attempt to assume a low-key air as I amble towards the room. The box is not big enough to hide my face, even with the stuff piled on top, but if all else fails, I can just hit him with it, or just drop it and run. Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even one listening out there, please grant me enough restraint, and that's how you end up with a deal with the devil. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That'll definitely make my life easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door, and there are plenty of people between us to use for cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in, hand in the stupid box to whoever's in charge, forget every plan of staying longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. As easy as pie. But as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the room's threshold, someone barrels towards me, that accursed little blue-haired girl. She latches onto my waist before topping the sudden commotion with a gleeful squeal.
I knew it's you!
Oh gods, it's that voice again. That horrible voice from beyond. The force of it nearly throws me off balance, sending the items stacked atop the box tilting dangerously to the sides. With the child's added weight at my waist pinning me on the spot and both my hands occupied, watching is the only thing I'm able to do. The short seconds between slows as everything gradually slides off the box's small surface. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story some other time. Comical, even. Until another set of hands reaches out and steadies the posters, threatening to take a nosedive right to the floor.
Oh, careful now, Daisy. Don't make a mess here.
I was correct, it was Daisy. My entire body freezes and reacts all on its own. Upon hearing his voice alone, an irrational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. But before my limbs could catch up with what my brain is currently screaming at me, he moves to take the burden off my arms. Irritation gives way to surprise. Then confusion. It is in that moment when instinct finally kicks in, and I tug the box closer to me before I can fully lift it off.
What are you doing?
What does it look like? You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you? Bloody, doesn't this girl have people for this kind of work? So much for being a center of academic excellence.
Yes, where are the servants?
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at.
Actually, wouldn't they be TAs?
You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand?
Also known as no, not that they wouldn't be classified as interns. They wouldn't get intern credit. No, it's do teachers' assistants get paid? I don't know. It's free labor.
Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help.
Plus, you really turned him on when you smacked him.
Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
I don't know the look she has now. I can see what he sees in her.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy? Having a bad day, aren't we?
Oh, you have no idea.
Like one of those women that you just enjoy slightly annoying because they look attractive when they're annoyed.
I'd put it away if I were you.
Put that face away, Daisy.
You might scare the children.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact. Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Keeping my voice level throughout is a miracle in itself, but regardless of how polite my request is, he doesn't budge. Did what I've just said merely fly over his head? Were my choice of words really that difficult to comprehend? Surely it shouldn't be that hard. Oh, it is that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. I'd like to ask him that, actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Tio's strong. You can leave this to him.
Children can be the best wingmen. They can also be the worst.
My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone.
Does what? What? Lifts things? Carries people? I don't understand. He carries the body. Okay.
Tio says it's
Confidential, Munchkin.
We don't talk about the body moving.
That's right. Tio's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
I'm still of the opinion that he's a piece of shite, but I must admit his goddaughter's excitement is contagious, as always. A smile makes its way to my lips. She has yet to budge from her place, though to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling on my stomach with how tightly she's wound her arms around it.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Like helping you out.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but
You heard the kid.
We must do what the child says in carry the box.
no one's asking you.
Clicking!
Oh, you wound me, woman.
There's many times when I'm clicking to advance the dialogue and it does nothing.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that.
Oh, lots of damage.
Shall we give it a try? Again?
He pales, stammers for a bit until he ultimately decides against saying anything and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. He's probably having flashbacks of the last time we met. His composure, when he finally regains some of his bearings, says it all. It's nothing short of hilarious, if I do say so myself.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy.
Don't threaten him with a good time.
Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat. How cute.
That too. I'm not scared of you. Just because you landed a hit.
Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear?
A fluke.
I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent. If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburg Police after you, woman.
You don't say.
They do, after all, tag team women together, I assume.
Just give me that bloody box.
He snatches it out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth and quickly disappears behind the classroom. Not that it matters who brings it in now. My prior irritation has already melted into amusement. He's not so bad once you figure out how his temperament works. It's almost similar to a child. Though I still have to ask.
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here?
His breath smells like clams.
He's unusually nice today.
No, Rebecca. Do not warm up to him. A far-fetched idea, I know, but it's the only reason I can think of why this arsehole is suddenly acting like a decent human he's, quite frankly, far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. If I were him, I'd avoid the very person who put a dent on his skull, as he so aptly put it, because that was the worst of what she did. Why is he acting friendly 2 days later?
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you since you helped me so much. I think you're gonna be great friends.
She knows what she's doing, this child. She knows exactly what she's doing. We need to dispel any myths that this child doesn't know what she's doing. I quickly stomp on the urge to groan loudly or gag at that. He's the last person I'd ever want to be chummy with in this whole city, but Kylie doesn't need to know that.
Are you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
Like oysters?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning.
Oh, jelly babies.
Really brought me lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tio when he picked me up.
Probably got the worst flavors.
He likes the black ones.
Oh my god. It's what you get when you're a godfather and uncle.
Oh, that's probably why he's weird. Jelly baby overdose.
On the licorice. Oh gods. I lived in an area where licorice grew wild. I didn't like going outside. It smelled horrible. He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them while he's at it.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takako this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
An unexpected pang hits me at her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths a whole trunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. Nights spent eating dinners alone, the number of days coming home to an empty house growing with each passing year, and sometimes several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still there, familiar though lessened by the years now. Beside me, Kylie takes a step back. Having gotten tired of clinging to me, there's nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by the fact. Although it makes me wonder how much of it is real and how much is there to mask the loneliness, if there's even one, or if she's just a creature of the apparition. What a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
But not as much as she was looking forward to that trip to Ibiza.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave. I've been a good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are. But they asked they asked your Tio to look after you? For this?
Nope, they didn't.
No? Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she's sick and had to visit the doctor today. Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's a bit confusing because Tio said she also went shopping. That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick. It's still okay, though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home. I'm gonna ask for a parfait today, extra large.
Yes, for the sugar rush.
Don't tell Takako, okay?
How is this Takako's business? What large parfait you got? Listening to her like this, it's easy to get a picture of where Kylie's fondness for the guy comes from. He bribes her with desserts. She's far from a demanding child unless you've made a promise of some sort. She never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone wherever she is. Buy her a few things and voila, you're settled. Oh geez, that's gonna... Hopefully that doesn't carry over into adulthood. No wonder she's so attached to the man. The douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. I can't say if the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type, and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. Classic techniques.
But before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first. It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather. Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him and marry someone really handsome. Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
That's not how you get awesome. There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. Very good. But before I can say my piece, douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtlety a wrecking ball has. No shite given, despite no one asking for his opinion.
Munchkin, sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
Well, bravo.
I don't?
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
Tia married you.
And he is extra baggage. Kylie drops the statement without any sort of preface, and the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true, Munchkin, technically, but it's not the same thing.
A small frown creases the girl's eyebrows as she tries to comprehend Bertio's rather vague explanation, which it is very vague. It's not surprising either when Luke tenses under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. ... I've seen the same look a great deal of times before, on Ashton whenever he's trying to say something he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either sides of her shoulder. Other sides of her shoulder, of just her one shoulder. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe the man, but in this minute, there's a smile on his face I can't place. Tender by all means for someone as obnoxious as him. It's a curious thing to see, if not a bit odd.
Listen here, sweetie. Tia was already a great person before she met me.
She is? But I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Well, Tia's much, much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
An accountant, the tricky kind.
Oh, like millions?
No, gazillions. And she's really, really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it. That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh, leagues, Munchkin. Way, way better than I'll ever be.
For some reason, I don't think he's still talking about his wife's mathematical prowess as his voice trails off. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have noticed the change in him. The slight shift in his smile, from one that's tender to something wistful, like remembering a memory he has always been fond of but has often kept to himself. And as the fleeting glance of it, a tiny, insignificant part of the world somehow also shifts. Opinions changing, impressions moving.
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia next time you have homework,
Okay, next time I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. And Papa. He computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another silence from him, then, without missing a beat, he turns Kylie around and slightly pats her shoulder, but only one, not the other, in a gesture to end their conversation right here and there. Probably before he can say other things he's never intended to say or a child is not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
All right. But wait for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you. They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back.
Uh-oh, now they're alone. I think there's a janitor's closet nearby. She soon disappears behind the small crowd, none the wiser to the sudden change in the mood around her. Luke straightens as soon as she's gone. The expression on his face grows less kind now that there's no one to reassure. Despite that, a chuckle still escapes me. His head quickly snaps at me, an accusing glare in his eyes. Although it's less threatening now, considering what I've witnessed earlier. Funny how one person's impression of someone can easily change with that minute detail.
Why are you laughing like that?
Don't mind me. I just saw something surprising today. Don't let it bother you.
Putting it like that won't make me any less inclined to ask. What is it, woman? If this is another one of your threats, I've already told you it isn't going to work on me. That good teacher act isn't going to fool anyone.
What makes you think it has to do with you? I could have just remembered something funny. Not everything in this world revolves around you, mister.
I am not daft, Daisy. It's on your face for all the world to see. Now, say it so we can be done with this stupid talk.
Oh, he's making fists. He's getting threatening. He is insecure. I let out another laugh. More to delay than to express any sort of amusement over the matter. In truth, I don't know where to start. One wrong move, one wrong word, I might offend the man. Oh gods, we're gonna have to make another choice. I'm tired of making choices. They're so stressful. He's childish enough for that, even if what I'm about to say are just mere honest observations. You know, let's go with the safe one. You're good at handling her. Relationship status update. He really liked that. Oh well, regardless of how he reacts, it's not like it'll have an impact on anything between us. I have no plans of getting too friendly with the man, though he might have some good points. Emphasis on might. The best treatment I can hope myself to give him is to stop thinking of him as a sleazy douche. Besides, after seeing the look on him, I figure someone like him can use a little compliment here and there. He probably doesn't get it much considering how coarse his own language can be.
Can't you act a wee bit polite for even a second of your life? It won't kill you. You'll easily get answers that way, you know? Instead of demanding things from people like a temperamental man-child.
I'll be nice when I want to be, woman. Don't tell me what to do.
And here I was just thinking how you're doing a brilliant job as Kylie's guardian. Was I mistaken?
Was I mistaken? What? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Stop playing dumb. I hate to admit it, but you actually seem to be good with kids. Possibly even better than most of the teachers here. What do you know?
I've expected him to just take it all in, bloat his ego more, and even brag about it. Instead, what I get from him is a sound resembling a squawk. Or maybe that's him choking on his own pride. I can't tell above the hubbub surrounding us. But when I glance at him, only a mortified expression is on his face.
No.
No? You should be proud of yourself. At least there's this one good thing about you. Isn't that nice to hear? Pretty sure not a lot of compliments get thrown around about you, knowing how you are.
There are a lot of good things about me, Daisy. My hair, for one. There's also my extraordinary good looks. Wax lyrical about those all you want. I'd be happy to hear it any day.
You could do a lot more with your hair. Other than that. I'm sorry. So no. That is not a positive.
Praise anything about me but that.
What is so repulsive about it? Even Kylie likes you. Shouldn't that tell you anything about yourself?
Kylie is one kid, not even my own. Trust me, you do not want to see me bring a spawn of my own into this world. It will be an abomination.
At least he's honest.
Is that what you keep telling yourself?
Oh, but isn't his wife pregnant?
Maybe. Is it any of your business?
No. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is because you yourself think you're a little piece of shite and somehow it'll pass on. It doesn't work like that, by the way.
Yes, he'll end up breaking the child. He'll end up ruining the child's psychology. That last remark just came out. There might be a sliver of truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even for my own standards or the kind of person I'm talking to, it's still quite rude. An apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of what I've prepared myself to say dissipates, lost in the moment in front of me. He has turned gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings and blocking the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air. Softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. I might as well be looking at a different man. There's a tender note in his voice when he finds it, the words muttered under his breath, not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
All that talk about self-worth makes some sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulled out of his arse. It has come about because he's already been there, likely still stuck in the middle of it. In the middle of his arse. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier after all. Less room for mistakes, more for dose of self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you thought you've already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge, far harder to understand. Yet it might be exactly for this reason why some are so easily charmed by him. It's the mystery that catches them, of wanting to find out what underneath that bravado. That is such a awkward sentence. Maybe it's just me. I won't count myself among those yet. His winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. But sometimes, once you get a glimpse of what's beyond that machismo, empathizing with the man isn't such a steep hill to climb. If the comfortable silence we now share tells anything, that is. Perhaps this is as close to a friendship as we can get. Several insults flung around, with a few shared silences in between, and that's not exactly a bad thing. He's not exactly a bad guy either, except for the whole murdering people, despite the awkward start we've had. Maybe it's for this reason that I can't resist throwing in a little comment to lift his mood before leaving him.
You know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
Take it how you will, but a little attitude change would help. A lot.
Bollocks. Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No, but I did see her with you two last time.
His indifferent expression quickly dissolves into a confused scowl while I meet it with matching perplexity. It has only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe, after you left. She was sitting right beside you. Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book? Because that damn thing's quite thick, and I'm really getting worried about you. It has only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
That expression. Hilarious.
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke exhales, long and drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing the companionable air around us. In the face of it, I tense. I've accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me escapes me, but above my worries of offending the man is my own bewilderment. I remember well enough what I saw that night, yet he says something completely different.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us.
I hate that word, wifey. It is just so... just like hubby, I've sullied myself speaking them.
How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
But in the front seat. And Kylie's...
Miss Pink!
The apparition is mad at her. Kylie's sobs reach my ears first, and then her familiar weight returns around my waist again. Hot tears seep through my blouse as she buries her face in it, her arms winding tightly around me. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract much attention. Most of the visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now, except for these children, these faceless children in the background. Those that still linger, though, watch our little group with great interest and concern from their eyeless faces. If I don't get a better handle of this situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everyone soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away her tears, creating little trails on her cheeks. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie, calm down. What happened?
It's my friend.
She's in the locker and she's dead.
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke. Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one?
Yeah.
Well, which one, child? Speak up.
Did the two of you fight?
She nods, then immediately clams up after, letting her sobs communicate the story instead, or as much as her shaking shoulders can tell me. It's 'cause she offered up the licorice ones, isn't it? Right behind me, Luke gives a nervous huff while he shifts on his feet. He must not be used to handling children crying. Gods, I can't handle children or anyone crying. It's like, I don't know. It's one of those things. Nothing wrong with crying, I just don't know how to deal with it. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. The tears are already gone when she finally musters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding to mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out.
Where? Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Is she still there?
Another nod. Oh gods, it's the apparition.
She won't say what's wrong. I kept asking her, but she told me to go away.
She can see the apparition, and she communicates with the apparition. She is a touched child, a child touched by the apparition.
Career Day's going to start soon. I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us if we're good. She's gonna miss it.
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She won't even take the jelly babies. After he saved it for her, too. Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told him it's not for him.
I'm gonna guess Luke's response is gonna be, screw her, you don't need her. You can find other friends.
Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Ah, just a little childish argument then. Times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. Mature enough to have petty squabbles, more like. I do love being around children and won't mind having one or two of my own in the future once Ashton realizes they're meant to be together, but it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who willingly took the challenge and then drink all the time. Normally, I'll leave this for their homeroom teachers to fix, but I just can't just ignore the imploring look she shoots me. That's another weakness I'll have to steel myself against before I ever think of having one of my own. For now, I give in to it.
Okay, tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand up and gesture for her to lead the way. Luke trails quietly behind us. Even with a small distance in between, his apprehension is palpable, understandably so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a children's spat. But in the end, this is all just a part of my job. I can't just shy away from it, can I? Kylie escorts us to an adjacent hall. At this hour, the corridors and the rooms lining its sides are empty and, unnervingly, looks exactly the same, including the room numbers. Save for the gentle rustling of leaves, the twittering of birds outside, and the tapping of our feet against the floor, the whole area stays eerily quiet. Not unusual, though. This is the part of the building reserved for club activities at the end of the school day, and with the rest of the school busy with another event, it's only natural for it to be this deserted. come afternoon, right after class, it'll once again be filled with people. For the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end, heading straight for them. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of this drama instead, obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right after me, unusually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Some time before we made the turn down the hallway, Jess stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath.
London Bridge
No.
is falling down, falling down,
No.
falling down.
And audio.
London Bridge
Cut
is
the audio.
falling down,
No.
my fair lady.
Oh gods. Okay, probably to brace or calm herself. Or maybe this is her way of preparing to pull her friend out of her sulk or to torment us. It certainly reminds me of another person. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing up, they say. Let her learn. The door is slightly ajar when we get to it, and from inside, the sobs of a girl echo weakly, barely audible even in this kind of hush. Yeah, that's the apparition. Turns out, Kylie's not the only one upset about this. Despite the situation, a smile forms in my lips as I call out to a friend.
Hello? Hello there? You're Kylie's friend, aren't you?
The ghostly apparition, the horrid creature that's murdering people, yes?
Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
No, her name is Takako. Children can be so amusing sometimes, especially the murderous little apparitions. Granted, they can be exasperating, especially around this age and almost any age, but the endearing things about them outweigh those. All you need is enough level of patience and perhaps dessert. I was going to say mace, but...
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it.
Because holy crap, career day is amazing. I don't know what career day is like elsewhere, but in the school that I went to, it was just not that exciting. It was an excellent day for the military to do their recruitment, though, which I didn't think they were allowed to do at schools, but they still did.
Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave. Don't you want to receive one?
However, her cries show no signs of abating. They only grow louder. ... It is apparently Melody. We got the name of the apparition. Not close to a whale. Alarming, regardless.
Are you okay?
From where I'm standing, it sounds almost like she's in some kind of pain, and it's not impossible. They do that at times. Yes, biological entities do at times experience pain. It's quite baffling, hiding what ails them for fear of a reprimand. If it's like that, coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chose to the loo furthest from their classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture for Kylie to wait and amble towards the door, calmly, so I don't alarm her. At the time, a distant sense of déjà vu hits me. I've been in this position before, behind a door with someone crying on the other side, my calls ignored as their cries grow into a wail. Just this past week, actually. Even so, being in the same situation before doesn't bring any comfort. I'm putting up for the child beside me is the thick undercurrent of worry trickling into my stomach. Odd sentence, very odd. I take one last breath, then I nudge open the door. It all happens in the span of a second. I don't make it past 2 steps into the room. Her cries abruptly stop. Light footsteps shuffle behind me, coming to a halt at the door. My heart skips a beat. And when I turn...
Kylie?
Oh gods, yes. Kylie. She doesn't exist, or she's possessed.
Miss Pink? Miss Pink, why didn't you help her?
Gods, Rebecca, why don't you have that book? Use the book on the child. Use it. Kill it. Knock the shit out of it. My whole body becomes motionless at the sight of her demented smile and creepy anime eyes, words catching in my throat and heart pounding rapidly against my chest. This is Kylie, I'm sure of it, her true face. Yet nothing in the manner she speaks or the way she tilts her head in question carries the youthful, innocent vibe she always brings with her, that mask of innocence. As if I'm merely looking at a dead, hollow imitation of the child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
But it is not those that trigger a memory. It's those chilling eyes, like the eyes of the mother in the front seat. Calling, beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
'Cause she doesn't talk, she just acts creepy. All at once, the memory returns to me. Oh, in the back seat. A tide that has receded and now returns to shore with an overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago. Of a world passing by in a blur, and of features I can barely discern under the little light there was. Not even a week has passed. In this minute, while I keep my eyes trained on the child before me, they return with such unbearable clarity. There are no horrid wounds this time, no blood streaming down a pale face, thank heavens. Just lips contorted into a small, twisted smile. They brim with venom I've never expected to see in a child, sending tiny pinpricks of dread crawling up my limbs and winding up my neck.
You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die.
You're one to speak, little girl. I can't breathe. Those whispers and laughters again. Judging, mocking, taunting. Each scathing word ringing sharp and true against my ears. My throat closes in. My whole body tenses. A chill settles at the tip of my fingers, every digit gone rigid from the cold. With every single draw of breath, any struggle for air or freedom, the coils wrapped around my body tighten, dragging me down. A gradual, tortuous descent into another bottomless abyss. On, and on, and on, until I lose touch with myself in the world.
Help me!
Until darkness claims me and, unexpectedly, a note. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through the thick stupor and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I don't have all morning to wait for you two.
Bravo, Luke, bravo. My eyes snap open and the world shifts into a place with a ragged gasp. When I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
The mask of the child. No anger, no vile hatred in them. Just plain, sincere concern. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings, and myself as warmth steadily slips back into me. I've reached out for the nearby counter to steady myself at some point. My knuckles have gone white from how rigid my grip on it is. It's over now, yet the tension hasn't left my body. My heart still hammers hard against my chest in an erratic rhythm, and my breathing still comes in short, shallow bursts. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, utterly unsure of what to do to an adult in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick? I'll call Tio, okay? Just stay here and don't move.
No, No need.
Just the most intense orgasm ever, right?
Just leave me alone.
Teal will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
He knows how to fix every woman. I wish I could speak reassurances to her, but I can't shake it off. The dread is there, twisting at my insides in anticipation of what? I am no longer sure. Pushing myself off the counter, I break into a run, brushing off the anxious look Kylie gives me when I gently push her away on my way out, with a furrow in Luke's brows when I stumble into him outside. Whatever they both saw on my face, I care not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. And I think that's a good point to stop. Plus, my throat is hurting. This whole reading for an hour thing, not all that great when you're not used to it. Alright, next time we might actually finish Rebecca's chapter, and I don't know what's next. By process of elimination, we have... That's not it. We have... Ashton and Luke left after Rebecca. Okay, well, next time